Hello everyone. Today we're going to be taking another look at my Panda compact dryer. I've actually had this now for over 5 years, and this machine, as far as I know, is still available. So unfortunately my Great Danby portable washer was recently discontinued, but you can still buy this Panda dryer. It's been a great appliance. It hasn't been perfect, honestly. Things that I did caused recurring issues and I had to address those. And I'm going to show you what happened, and actually I'm going to walk you through what I had to do today. This machine is ready for a tune-up. I'm going to check and make sure everything is nice and clear and that it's going to work the way that it's supposed to. What I like about this machine, so this machine's actually only about a third of the size, I would say, of a full-size dryer, but it works exactly like one of those. The main difference is that this machine's a lot smaller and it has a smaller capacity, but the capacity is pretty good and it takes longer. This just runs off a standard 120 volt outlet. It can only put out so much hot air, so it does take longer to dry the clothes, but the end result is identical to what you would get from a typical full-size dryer. Those are some drawbacks, but to be honest, having the convenience of a dryer in your home is, in my opinion, invaluable. So it's worth it. Even if this one takes longer and it doesn't hold as much, still worth having, absolutely. So this was another appliance where it has definitely been worth the investment. So I'm going to go over how I have this set up, maintenance on it, I'll show it running, and I'm also going to show you some troubleshooting if you're having issues with yours. To make sure you have the space for it, here are the dimensions. The dryer is 24 inches wide, 27 inches tall, and 17 inches long. But with the duct on the back, the length is more like 20 inches. In front of the dryer, the door swings out about 18 inches. I would only recommend this particular Panda dryer if you have a way to vent it outside. The dryer exhausts a lot of humid air, and you really want to vent it outdoors so you're not breathing that air in, and so it doesn't lead to mold or mildew issues related to moisture. I have a small window in this closet, and I have it set up to vent outside. I would recommend checking the exhaust vent a couple times a year to clean out any potential built-up lint. The dryer hose connects to the duct that presses onto the back of the dryer. This is a 4-inch diameter hose, but I think the dryer is made for a 3-inch hose. I had to cut and crimp the larger hose to make it fit, but it's never been an issue since I set it up. This Panda dryer has very basic controls. There's a dial for 2 different cycles, a hot cycle and a cool cycle. The hot cycle can run for up to 3 hours and 20 minutes, and you just set the timer according to whatever you're drying. There's also a high and low button for the heat. I personally always leave it on high as it cuts down on the drying time compared to low. Once you've got this set up, as far as maintenance between doing loads of laundry, there's not too much. I will admit, cleaning the lint filter is probably the most annoying part of owning this particular dryer. So there's 2 filters on this, and actually you can tell even this one takes a really long time to get dirty, but that's ready to be cleaned, and this is your main lint filter back here. And you're going to want to clean this between every single load of laundry. So the filter, you just grab onto any of these little 4 points here, and it pulls out. And so there you go. So now I'm going to show you how to clean this and how to clean this filter as well. This has 2 lint filters in this one unit here. While we're doing that, this just has a pry spot right here at the top, and it has 2 more at the bottom. And you know what? I let that go. Admittedly, I let that go way too long. So that's pretty dirty too. So I'm going to clean this today as well. So as far as lint filters on this dryer, there's this one, which is right by the door, and this one takes much longer to get dirty, and I probably haven't looked at this in 6-8 months or so. So I'm going to vacuum this off today. And then you've got your main lint filter. This opens up. So this will build up after every load of laundry. So you're going to want to clean at least this every load of laundry. Usually I'll clean both filters, this one underneath as well. But this is your first line of defense, I guess. So you're going to want to clean this after every single load of laundry, and really you're going to want to clean both. And this is probably the most annoying piece of maintenance on the dryer right here. So this is your secondary lint filter, and this one traps finer lint. These wear out pretty fast. These only last probably maybe 4 months or so if you use the dryer regularly, and that's if you clean them regularly. They start to fall apart. You can get packages of these really cheap on Amazon or eBay, and I think on Amazon I got a big pack of maybe 5 or 6 of these, and it came with 2 or 3 of these, and it was like $10 or $12. So it was really cheap, which was great. You have to clean this regularly though, and this is what I've always done. Really just to get it as clean as possible, I vacuum this off with my cordless Dyson. This attachment here has a revolving brush roll. This is what I've done for years. The most effective way to clean this is to vacuum it. That alone is going to make a huge difference. So now with that clean, I always put this back together first, and it just lines up like so. And it snaps into place in 6 different spots. Then I'll just put this filter back in. It goes on the back of this. And now this can just be pressed back onto the dryer. You just press this onto the center, and you have to press this on snugly because this has fallen out when the dryer started before a couple times. When I did my video of this in 2018, these kept falling apart. So I stopped using them. And I was like, well, this is doing good enough. Well, what was happening inside the dryer, it was blocking up. There's a screen inside of it that blocked up 2 or 3 times. We're gonna take a look at mine today. I'm gonna show you how I did that because I've had to do it twice now, and I'll show you how to get to that. So if you have to troubleshoot it, replace a belt, I'll show you how to get to those. I actually still have a brand new one. So I actually just sucked this up in the vacuum, but this is pretty bad. This is starting to fall apart. So I'm gonna go ahead and retire this, and we're just gonna put a brand new one in. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and put these back on the dryer. Whoops. To put this filter back on, there are 5 clips around the outside of the filter retainer, whatever you wanna call it. There's 5 clips on this, so. There we go. Just push it in until all 5 pop back into place. And then as I mentioned before on this lint filter, you wanna press this in snugly and it just fits onto that center post. And that's it. Now we're ready to dry some clothes. So I've got a whole bunch of shop rags and mop heads. So the dryer only has 2 cycles. It has basically a hot cycle and a cool cycle, but the main hot cycle can run for up to 3 hours and 20 minutes. I'm gonna set this to, it's pretty full. I'm gonna set it to 2 hours. So earlier, to show you the different controls, I hit the high and low button right here, and I accidentally left the dryer on low. So after it was going for about 20 minutes, I realized what I did and I changed it back to high, but I checked, and on low, it really doesn't put out very much hot air. So I usually leave it on high all the time. The dryer's finished. So let's take a look here. Everything feels exactly like you would expect it to out of the dryer. Very clean. It's all nice and soft. Let's take a look at the lint filters one more time. So this separates, and then you've got your regular lint. Even just from those, you can look at this filter too. And then when I was using the dryer without this, all of this was going right through and wanted to go through the exhaust. It was causing all kinds of issues not having this. So I just wanted to show that to you again, and then I'm gonna clean this up. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And now this is ready for the next load of laundry. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this back together. There's actually there's some lint caught in here. So you wanna get rid of all the lint every time for the best results. And how's that? I do this wrong a lot. So you line all these up, like so, and then just put this back in here like that, and it'll be ready for the next job. You know, it's an extra step compared to a regular dryer because usually you have the fine screen. But again, the luxury of having a dryer at home, it's worth the extra work, and it's worth buying these as needed because I find that I go through about 3 of these a year, and I use my dryer at least once a week. Take care of them, and you won't have to take the dryer all apart like I had to twice. You'll just have to worry about, you know, buying these as needed. I just pulled the dryer out. The reason I wanted to do this, I had recurring issues on mine, and it was because I didn't use that disposable lint filter, the cloth one. I stopped using it, and it led to internal lint blockages on this dryer. And twice I had to remove the back panel to get to the duct to clean it all out. So I'm gonna show you how I did that if you ever have to do it on yours. Basically just learn from my own mistake. Here's a look at the back of the dryer, and where the exhaust duct connects, behind there you can see a little grill. That grill was building up with lint. Even right now, using a filter, you can see there's some built up back there, but multiple times when I was using it without the cloth disposable lint filter, this completely plugged up. And when it did, it was taking the dryer forever to finish. It wasn't working nearly as efficiently as it should. And it was taking so long, I knew I needed to address it. I was afraid it was gonna burn up or something. I'm gonna show you how to remove this back panel so that you can get to that area to clean out that blockage completely. or if you need to like change a belt or something, which in the 5 years I've owned mine, I've never had to do. Anyways, I'm gonna get started. So I'm pretty sure it's all just Phillips screwdrivers, or I'm pretty sure it's all just Phillips screws, but there's a bunch of them. And there are several around the outside of this cover, and then there's a couple by the duct. So I'm going to start removing these, and I'll show you what it looks like. All the screws around the outside of the cover are the same, and there's a bunch of them. And then these screws right here are different. So I'm going to go ahead and just remove them. I've got a couple of dishes here to collect the different types of screws, and I think it's all just Phillips. So let's see how this goes. Okay, so then there's these two. And these are the ones that are different. They're a different size and they're flat on the ends. And that's so that they stay out of the way of the duct. That's either everything or I have to remove those three as well. So I'm gonna find out now. Okay, so now at this point, all the screws that were holding this back panel are now removed. And this comes off. While I have this off, I'm going to dust out this vent. There's dust and lint accumulated there, and I am going to wipe this whole thing off. It's pretty dusty. This is the vent right here that plugged. So this was the culprit over and over. What would happen, I'm going to remove this. There's a Phillips screw here, and there's one right here. I don't know if I see a third one or not, but I'll go ahead and remove it now. These screws are different as well, so already I've got 3 different types of screws. So make sure if you do this that you keep track of what goes where. And then at that point, this just lifts out. This is where it kept plugging up, and it happened to me multiple times. So right here, this little accumulation, that's pretty densely packed in there, and this was completely packed. So I had to sweep all this out, and it got bad enough where it was actually accumulating inside. You can probably only see a little bit of that, this fan in here. And I had to sweep all that out too, so it was pretty bad. But cleaning that out did the trick. You can see the belt has burned away the sponge right here, where there's kind of like a guide, whatever. But other than that, this is operating just fine. So now while I have this out, I'm going to clean this out because this was the issue. I'm going to vacuum all this out and then I'll put it back together. Okay, so that's pretty good. Let me show you a couple areas I had to clean before too. Here's a closer view of where that duct goes. And one thing to note, this is like a gasket, like a foam gasket, and it's really, really cheap and flimsy. So you really want to be careful not to damage this faux seal when you clean it. But anyways, that's fine now because the dryer is going to work like it should. Underneath here, this is a soft gasket right here. See that foam that's sticking out? And when I let it get so bad initially, when I wasn't aware of what was going on, this packed in with lint too. So I had to get in here and clean all around and clean out these impeller blades, and it was a mess. It's very important that you use those little disposable cloth filters that this comes with, because if not, you can block up the whole internal system, and then the dryer won't work like it's supposed to. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this back together. So this just rests back into place like so, and that took 2 special short screws, extra short. Okay, so now that's back in place, and that's gonna be working just like it should. That's great. So now I can put this panel back on after I vacuum it off. So this back panel, admittedly, this is a really thin and kind of flimsy piece of sheet metal, and the fit isn't amazing. So I'm just gonna kind of try to line it up. Like I said, when I got this, because it was like dented and damaged and somebody tried to work on this before I got it, some of the screws were missing. So I think normally you'd have probably 15 or so screws, and I only have maybe 10. And so I'm gonna start putting these back in. And then what I do is I just kind of try to put them in sort of evenly around the whole thing. It's never been an issue. Again, I don't have all of them because of the circumstances. So then at that point, there's only 2 screws left. It's these longer flat screws, and there's 2 spots to them, here and here. They line up with this vent, and they kind of hold the vent in place. Okay, with that, that's it. So now this is cleaned out, and it's going to work exactly like it should. So again, learn from my own mistakes, and I apologize for even suggesting not using the filter, because at the time I thought it was fine. and it turned out it was causing issues. So if you have that issue where it's taking too long to dry, or the stuff is coming out still damp, or something seems wrong, I would check this if you can get to it and make sure that it's not all plugged up. If it is plugged up, and you can see it plugged up right here, you're gonna have to remove this whole back panel, including these screws, remove this itself, and then clear all this out, and clear out all the lint that could potentially be built up around that back wheel. So I think that's the third time I've done this since I've owned it, and since getting the filters, it was fine. I could have gone a lot longer without doing that, but whatever, it's good to do it, and I wanted to show you guys. So there you have it. This is the Panda Compact Dryer, ideal for smaller homes, apartments, and RVs. Because it plugs into a standard 120 volt household outlet, this can be set up in a lot of places where a full-size dryer cannot. Paired with a portable washing machine, this dryer lets me do laundry just as well as full-size machines in the convenience of my home. It's inexpensive to run and does exactly what you expect it to do. When I first got the dryer, I was concerned with build quality and how long it would last, but with regular upkeep, it's still working perfectly. I'm glad to say that it's still running great after 5 years of ownership and regular use. Hopefully it will last a long time, but it's already paid for itself in what it saved me compared to using coin-operated machines. Before going for this particular model, I would make sure you can vent the unit outdoors just like a regular dryer. I would not use this dryer if I couldn't vent it outside. If this is a product you're interested in for your living situation, I say go for it. It's very convenient to have around and has absolutely been worth the investment. Although very basic, I would happily buy this dryer again if this one broke down. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, and as always, thank you for watching and have a great day.